One of my frustrations in watching politics over the years has been the extent to which the Democratic Party has lost the support of many working class voters around the country, and how the Republican Party has stepped in and poached a lot of those voters away from Democrats, and in many ways convinced these people to vote against their own interests. And watching this has been both fascinating from a messaging perspective and also very, very frustrating in terms of watching how the Democratic Party has been unable to respond to this. And let me give you an example. From 2008 to 2016, I was living in central Pennsylvania, primarily Harrisburg. In that time, I got to know one guy. His name was Jonathan. Younger guy. He worked in a retail store on an hourly wage basis. He met his wife in that store. The two of them got married, and the two of them are trying to keep a household together, raising a young daughter. Both of them working on hourly wage jobs, just making enough to get by, and trying to survive as best they can. These are people who, prior to even the Reagan years, would have been automatic lock Democratic voters, because the Democrats tended to mostly appeal to people on the lower end of the socioeconomic spectrum. Yet in talking to them, they were Trumpity Trump, and they had been convinced to be solid core MAGA voters, and it was always. And I kept in contact with Jonathan over the years through Facebook, and it was often amazing to me the extent to which he would parrot those policies. And a large part of what I heard from him was a deep frustration with the Democratic Party. He felt that the Democrats were a bunch of elitists. He felt that they were a bunch of snobs who looked down upon him because he didn't have a college degree, so therefore he must have been less than. And from a very deeply personal level, he really wanted nothing to do with the Democrats, and it had nothing to do about policy. And this is a message I think many Democratic candidates have ignored over the years. They have, we've seen this time and time again. Democratic candidates tend to run based upon, oh, I'm going to tweak this policy and make it and make my messaging on it perfect so that everyone will come along. And even though I may not be the most likable person in the world, I'll just say to voters, well, just read page 38 of my 3rd or 5-year plan roadmap, and you'll come around and you'll understand what I'm talking about. And it's not remotely connecting with people. One of the people I've been following a great deal over the last few years is Rick Wilson from the Lincoln Project. He was a former Republican operative, and he often makes the comment: Democrats tried to run to win an argument. I would run to win an election. And as a result, there were many Wednesdays after election day where Democrats would be scratching their head, wondering what happened. So one of the things I've been seeing in this cycle that is really interesting to me has been watching the rise of some Democratic candidates who seem to have this nut cracked and to try to right the ship in terms of Democratic appeal to working class voters. So in this light, I want to talk about some new faces in the Democratic Party that are worth watching. The first I want to talk about is James Talarico in Texas. He is 37 years old. He's a state representative from Texas, and he is the Democratic nominee for Senate in Texas. And he is running against the Republican nominee, Ken Paxton. This is a fascinating race for me because, first of all, James Talarico seems to have the messaging right in terms of connecting with ordinary Texas voters. He's not afraid of his faith because he is a person of faith. He's not afraid to talk about it and to be able to run with it. And he has a very working class populist message. Let's play the clip on that.
Our country is not left versus right. It's top versus bottom. Billionaires want us looking left and right at each other so that we're not looking up at them. The people at the top work so hard to keep us angry and divided because our unity is a threat to their wealth and their power. So their social media algorithms and their cable news networks tear us apart. They divide us by party, by race, by gender, by religion, so that we don't notice that they're defunding our schools, gutting our health care, and cutting taxes for themselves and their rich friends. It is the oldest strategy in the world: divide and conquer. but we will not be conquered. We're underdogs in this fight. We're going up against those billionaire mega donors and their puppet politicians. We're going up against a rigged system, and we're going up against a lot of money. But I'm a former middle school teacher. I don't scare easily. And Texans don't scare easily. My granddad was a Baptist preacher in South Texas. He taught me that we follow a barefoot rabbi who gave 2 commandments: love God and love neighbor. Because there is no love of God without love of neighbor. Every single person bears the image of the sacred. Every single person is holy. Not just my neighbors who look like me, or pray like me, or vote like me. Those billionaires are trying to keep us from seeing all that we have in common. They're trying to keep us from realizing that there is far more that unites us than divides us. Because once we do, we will come together across party, across race, across gender, across religion, to take power back for ourselves and our communities. 2,000 years ago, when the powerful few rigged the system, that barefoot rabbi walked into the seat of power and flipped over the tables of injustice. To those who love this state, to those who love this country, to those who love our neighbors, it's time to start flipping tables.
One of the things I find interesting about Talarico is that he is not afraid to talk about his faith, and he's very authentic in that. He's not making it up. He's not trying to manufacture something that might make him sound good. He's being who he is. And what's interesting about that is that just yesterday, Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick declared that Talarico will, quote, go to hell because he is talking about religion and politics. So you could definitely tell that Talarico is striking a nerve, because they don't like the fact that they have a Democrat who is comfortable about talking about faith, especially coming up against a candidate like Ken Paxton, who is deeply flawed on many levels. This Talarico, I believe, is a candidate who gives the Democrats their best chance at taking a statewide Texas election in 30 years. And this is going to be a fascinating election to watch going down to the end. And this is also an election where Talarico has gotten a huge assist from Donald Trump when Trump, in an absolutely baffling move, decided to endorse Ken Paxton over incumbent Senator John Cornyn, who I think would have given Talarico a much more difficult time in this race. So Texas is definitely a race to watch. The next 2 candidates I want to talk about are in Iowa, and Iowa, I think, is a fascinating state to watch in this coming midterm. And if there is a state that could be a surprise on election day, and a very nasty surprise for Republicans, it's Iowa. Now, people haven't talked about the Iowa Senate race a great deal, or the Iowa governor's race, but there are 2 very good candidates running in Iowa who I think are going to give Republicans a very bad time for both of those seats. The first candidate I want to talk about is Josh Turek. He is running for the Senate in Iowa. He has a fascinating story, and I just want to, and I think the best way for me to tell that story is to play his clip.
I was born an underdog. 21 surgeries by the age of 12. Spina bifida, caused by my dad's exposure to Agent Orange in Vietnam. A kid wearing Goodwill hand-me-downs with the wrong color lunch ticket. But I never doubted my right to the American dream. Sitting in my wheelchair, 9 years old, watching the Olympics, I dreamed of winning gold for my country too.
Guess who on the left side? Josh Turek. Back-to-back gold medals.
I campaigned just like I played basketball, outworking everyone, pushing the hills, crawling the stairs, all just to have a conversation with everyday Iowans. Did not matter the party, because it's working class families like mine paying the price for Ashley Hinson's corruption in Washington. Hinson helps herself and her donors, while Iowans get screwed in every deal. Hospitals closing, gas and grocery prices through the roof, and the farm economy hammered. Iowans deserve a senator who works for them again. So if you are ready to push for change, join me.
Josh Turek has a very strong message. He is working his butt off. He is showing an ability to connect to voters, and it would not surprise me at all if he could pull off an upset against Ashley Hansen in November. And so Iowa on the Senate side, I know everyone's talking about North Carolina, everyone's talking about Maine, everyone's talking about Texas. Watch out for Iowa. That could be very interesting come November with a candidate like that. The last person I want to talk about here is Rob Sand. He is running for governor in Iowa, and he has, I think, a fantastic message. Let's just take a look.
To the majority of GOP primary voters who voted for someone other than Zach Lane, I agree with you. His lies about his past and the fact that he still more or less lives in Kansas means that he's not the best choice in this race. He claims to be an outsider, but he has spent his whole career working for politicians and dark money groups. He claims he's going to take on big polluters, but he did the political bidding of nitrate polluters who are squeezing every penny out of Iowa farmers for a decade. He says he's going to be Iowa first, but records show he spends more time in Kansas than he does here. And he admits he'd have to fully move here from Kansas if he gets elected. The phrase was, "If I get elected, I'll spend as much time as humanly possible in Iowa." Most of us just live here. He says he's focused on kids and culture, but he's invested in products that I wouldn't want to talk about in front of my kids. And then he lied about at what point he got uninvested too. If he's going to say all of those things, who knows what he's going to say or what you can believe when it comes to this campaign for the next 5 months. Traveling the state for the last year of this campaign, I've heard the same stuff everywhere I go. The political system is broken. It has left Iowa families behind. Well, all you would get with Zach Lane is more of the same. He's been on the inside breaking it this whole time. I'm going to tell you the truth about him, just as I did with every corrupt public official that I prosecuted or audited. But I also want to talk about how I'll work with the Republican legislature in this state to get a new direction going and a focus on making Iowa not bluer or redder, but truer and better. I believe we should have a governor that actually puts Iowa first instead of just writing it under the wings of his plane when he flies over us to go back to Kansas. We already have more Iowa Republican donors than the Republican nominee for governor does. Join them. You're welcome in this campaign.
Again, here you have somebody who is extremely articulate. He is shown he has a record of attacking corruption. He is showing an ability to connect with people and connect with voters. He is working his butt off in this election, and you have Iowa, which has been devastated by Donald Trump's economic policies. And he is really showing a desire to work for the people and to bring people together. He is his message is not to make Iowa bluer and redder, but truer and better. I think it's a tremendous message reaching out to moderate independent voters who are not interested in hitching their wagon to the extremes on either side. So this is somebody who is really a candidate to watch going forward. So what is a common theme that we're seeing in all of this? We're seeing a theme of connecting to working class voters. We're seeing James Talarico made the comment, this is not left versus right, this is top versus bottom. And we're seeing a populist message in these candidates, but one of the things that we're not seeing is the culture war stuff. This is economic messaging. This is bread and butter. This is affordability. How things are real. How the economy is going south. People are paying more for everything. They're paying more for food. They're paying more for gas. All of this is under the Republican regime. And here is somebody who could be an antidote to it. And also here is somebody who can bring people together again. These are very, very refreshing messages. One of the things you don't see in any of this, you don't see any of the culture war stuff. These people are staying away from it, and they should be. One of the things that we're going to be seeing coming this summer and fall, is that the Republicans are going to go the Republican messaging is going to be all in on culture war because that's all they have. They can't talk about the economy. They can't. They're not going to be able to talk about Iran because that's going to be a hot mess. People are paying more for gas for no good reason at all. People are paying more for groceries for no good reason at all. So they can't talk about the economy. Immigration is not working out for them all that well. They can't talk about corruption with an administration that's creating a new Watergate scandal every day practically. So they can't really talk about that. They have nothing left to talk about except for the culture war issues. And these candidates, I think, are sending a message that you do not run on that. And to the rest of the Democratic Party, do not run on that, because the thing about this coming election that does worry me is that Republicans will throw culture war nonsense out at the Democrats like bait, and there are a lot of Democrats who love to take that bait. People like some of my old friends who live out in Western Massachusetts love to fight those culture wars. Do not do it. And and always keep in mind, whenever the Republicans try to throw up a culture war, just a culture war issue, keep this in mind. So that's what I have for today. I think I wanted to talk to you about these three candidates and what they have to offer. And I think if the Democrats can pay attention to this, this could be a message that could stick in in more races going forward. There are other candidates who are doing this I haven't talked about today, but it is I think it's very interesting to watch, and I'll be watching it along with you as we see how the campaign unfolds during the course of the summer and fall.